Okay.
People see the whole pump of it.
Namanda, 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 namanda. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Dharma family service. Today is our first service in April, and it's nice to see you all here. It's also our second in-person service, and in-person indoor service, so we're very excited about that. Let's begin with Juseige. So we'll do Sutra chanting, and you should have been given the form. Namanda, 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 namanda. Gagon Josegan Hishimu Jodo Shigan Fumanzok Seifu Joshogak Gaomunyoko Fuidai Seshu Fusai Shobingu Seifu Joshogak Gashi Jobutsudo Myosho Chojippo Kukyo Mishomon Seifu Joshogak Ryokujin Shonen Joe Shubongyo Shigumu Jodo Hisho Tenin Shi Jinniki Endai Ko Fushomu Saido Shoujo Sankumyo Kosai Shunyakunan Kai Ichi Egen Meshi Konmoan Heisoku Shoakudo Tsudatsu Zen Shumon Koso Jomanzok Iyono Jippo Nichigatsu Shujuki Tenko Onpugen Ishu Kai Hozo Koseku Dokuho Jodai Shuchu Seppo Shishiku Kuyo Isai Butsu Gusoku Shutoku Hon Ganne Shitsujoman Tokui Sangayo Nyobutsu Mugechi Tsudatsu Mifusho Gangaku Erik Toshi Sai Shoson Shiganya Koka Daisen Okando Koku
shoten ni tou chin myo ken nama amida butsu namo 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 amida butsu gan ni shikudoku byodo seisai dohoten bodaishin ojo an Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Namanda. Namanda.
Okay, next we'll recite the three treasures, which should be on the back of the sheet you have. Okay, and I gotta share the screen. The three treasures. Hard is it to be born into human life, now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the Buddha Dharma, now we hear it. If we do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there that we shall be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves your supreme will. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord in your life of harmony, in a spirit of universal oneness, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through myriad ages of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of the Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda. Namanda. Okay. Well, good morning once again. Good morning, everyone. I can see you right in front of me, really here, and everybody online. I can't see you. Hopefully you can see me. Once again, we're back in person, but it's still hybrid, right? We're doing it live for people that are able to come, and then also streaming to the people online. So it makes it a little difficult for me because I'm trying to navigate both these spaces. But one thing I thought about, oh, that's what I need to do. I have my notes are like spread out all over. They're in emails, they're on my phone. The topic of my talk today is finding your tribe. Finding your tribe. Have you ever heard that expression, to find your tribe? Right? I think it's kind of a recent kind of thing, right? And no, it's been around for a long time. Okay. Oh, it's an old thing. Okay, I never heard it until like a few months ago. Where have I been? So it's this interesting idea of, I don't know, recognizing maybe that it's not easy to have a group of people that you get along with, that you're able to be yourself, right? And so that's my main theme. Now, Buddhism is interesting because I think that Buddhism in many ways is about insight into oneself, right? Who am I? But one of the neat things about many kinds of Buddhism, and I think certainly about our Buddhism, is if I'm going to ask myself, who am I have to acknowledge others, because it's not just about me, right? Of course, that's the only thing I can control is myself, if I can even do that, right? But to think about myself in Buddhism requires that I acknowledge others, right? That I acknowledge, oh, it's not just me, right? There's all these other people too, right? And so much of who I am is in that relationship with others. Now, there are streams of Buddhism that kind of say, maybe all of you are just figments of my imagination, right? That actually there are no beings. This is kind of emptiness talk. And I just want to touch on it. Don't be scared. It is kind of frightening in a way. It could be, right? But there is a stream of Buddhism that's much more on the wisdom side of emptiness and acknowledges that actually all this is illusion. Samsara is a big illusion. We think that these things exist. I'm attached to my cell phone. I think this thing is so important, right? Or that, oh, that person, they're that kind of person, right? And so we're always, attaching to what we see. The wisdom side goes all the way to realize, ultimately, it's all empty. Nothing comes into arising. Nothing disappears. Nothing, nothing. There's cause and effect are just illusions. So they call it the non-arising of dharmas, or the non-arising of things, down to the very basic elements. Nothing arises, nothing perishes. But that's wisdom. That's like Zen, right? Certain other kinds of Buddhism maybe goes in that direction. That's how you would awaken. That's not what we do. So you can kind of take that and put it aside. Don't worry about it. I just want you to be aware of this idea of emptiness, no self, right, is one stream within Buddhism. But it's not that no one exists to me. I think it's more that acknowledgement but maybe my understanding of each person is not 100% right. It may actually be very incorrect, right? So that when I judge someone, when I make assumptions and assume, oh, this person's like this, so they must be like that, right? I got to be careful with that. That's, I think, where that acknowledgement that maybe who I see is kind of a figment of my imagination. And maybe I could look at them in another way and let them be themselves and learn more about them, right? And realize, oh, okay, that was more about me than it was about them. There's a new Red Hot Chili Peppers album just came out on 2 days ago on Friday. And so online I'm looking, and so many people are just saying, this album's terrible. The Red Hot Chili Peppers stink. They're a dad band. They're blah, blah, blah. I bet they have so much money, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going on and on and on. And they know that this album's terrible. They know that these guys are washed up. They know all this stuff. And I'm just like, this says so much more about you than it does about the band. You're not even listening to the music. You have so much stuff you're stuck in. You can't even hear the music because you're so, oh, I know, and just kind of getting caught in their own opinion, thinking their opinion is truth, right? So I think we do that with people too, right? We do that in our relationships. And so this idea that maybe some of this is a figment of my imagination is maybe one possible corrective. It's not easy to see, but if I can back up and take this opinion that I have and kind of bracket it, maybe put it aside. We don't have to eject it completely. There might be some right there too. But to allow the person to be themselves rather than what I know they are or think they are. So, one of my favorite genres of television show, and maybe internet too, is called Unlikely Animal Friends. unlikely animal friends. And there are different versions of this kind of show. You can find it on National Geographic, sorry, Nat Geo, or the one I saw was on Smithsonian Channel. And it was actually called Oddest Animal Friendships, right? So normally, for instance, we think cats and dogs are natural born enemies, right? It's just one kind of common conception. Actually, in Japan, it's saru to inu no kenka, right? That monkeys and dogs are natural enemies. That's the Japanese expression, not cats and dogs, but it's like monkeys and dogs means, oh, people are fighting. How significant. The one episode that I saw that at first I wasn't so into, but I watched it, is about a monkey named Horace. He's a vervet monkey. So he's not that big. He's probably about this big, right? And when he was a baby, I think his mother died or something. And so they rescued him and they got him healthy and they got him all ready. They're going to release him back into the wild, hoping because really he should be with his own kind, right? He should go back to his own kind of monkey and everything. But right before it was supposed to happen, he got electrocuted. They had to amputate one of his arms and they had to take care of him again. And they're really worried about him. But they nursed him back to health second time, right? And so here's this one-armed monkey. He's Horace, the one-armed monkey. And they saw he tried monkeys. This is like at an animal preserve. It's like an animal care kind of rescue place. And so, his kind of monkey would go racing by in the trees, swinging around, and he would try to get close. He wanted to join with them, and they wouldn't accept him for whatever reason. Maybe he smells too much like the people or the other animals he's with, or, so he just wasn't accepted by his own group. And, one of the reasons was maybe he didn't know how to properly interact with them because he'd been raised by humans. So he seemed kind of lonely, I guess. But what they realized was there's a lot of rescued dogs on this property. So these dogs are, oh, thank you, yeah. The dog next door barked. He's shouting out, representing the dogs. These dogs are rescued because they were security dogs before. And so they were trained to be vicious, right? Trained to be aggressive and probably abused, right? And so these were rescued dogs. And there's 20 of them in this kind of penned in area. So Horace finds the dogs, right? And he tries to join in with the dogs. And at first, saru to inu, right? Monkeys and dogs are kind of maybe naturally enemies normally, right? And so it didn't go well. And, he would, he could jump out of the way. They're trying to get him and he's just up on top of the fence, wanting to be friends with the dogs, but the dog's not accepting him. But you know what happened? He notices this one older dog, this big dog, who's always kind of lying around. So he kind of goes close to him, starts petting him. It's so cute. You have to watch this. Starts picking the lice, the fleas or whatever, and starts grooming the dog. And so the dog accepts it. And then within a while, I don't know if it's days or weeks or whatever, the other dogs start lining up. The other dogs are lining up for grooming. So eventually he gets accepted into the tribe. It's really amazing, into the pack, right? I guess dogs are a pack. So just really, really, it's cute, and the show does have warnings. Scientists will say that, animals don't have emotions, and that kind of made me mad, but that's another Dharma talk. But to me, I think it's really neat when we see these animals that normally we don't expect to get along, getting along. And so that, they go for a walk with the whole pack and Horace is there with them, bounding along. He can't bound through the trees because he only has one arm. So he's, running around on his feet with the dogs. So just a really neat story. I'll put the link to that episode of this show in the description of the video so you can watch it if you want to later on. But at first I wasn't so into the story. It wasn't as heartwarming maybe as some of the other ones. But then it hit me. I'm like Horace in some ways, right? That idea that he didn't know how to properly interact with the other monkeys. And I realized, wow, in many ways, maybe that's me. I find myself in situations sometimes when I just don't know how to respond in a way that seems to work. Not so much like around here necessarily, but more, just out in the world or whatever. The cash register person, the cashier says something friendly, and it's like, oh, I wish I had something cool to say, and I just don't. I don't know how to banter like that, right? I'm not good at it a lot of the time. And realizing, yeah, even with friends sometimes. I went to lunch with a couple of people from IBS, and it was great. But there were also times too when, one person's laughing and making a joke and the other person's laughing and just kind of like, okay, and pretend to laugh, but I can tell I'm not laughing convincingly, So I saw myself in Horace the monkey and realized how special this is, that this monkey that doesn't know how to act properly and yet finds his tribe, right? He finds his group. And I was thinking, Sangha is another possible tribe, right? I think that we have one tribe, the most obvious tribe is your family, right? And family is the obvious one. Isn't that what a tribe is kind of traditionally, right? In pre-modern times, maybe, you have this group of people. It's not one family, it's a bunch of families, right? But that idea of a tribe, and so, but moving beyond family, and isn't that where the expression comes from? The finding your tribe idea, which one of the people here in person says maybe since the 70s or so, right? This idea of realizing, oh, maybe I can find a group of people that I get along with, that I can interact with in a positive way, right? Ultimately, the best one maybe is a tribe that lets me be me, right? Me imperfect, me not always knowing the proper interaction, right? And that maybe if I can find a group like that, wow, wouldn't that be great, right? That would be something beyond just work, right? I think that's what happens a lot of the time, right? You go from school and then you go to college to learn a trade and then you get a job, right? And it's not always easy. You don't always get along with people at work. The only reason you're together is because you work at the same place. It doesn't have anything to do with personalities necessarily, right? And so to realize, wow, maybe there's more than this, right? Maybe I can find my tribe, find a group of people that I can be myself with and relax and enjoy and learn how to interact appropriately, properly, right? And be able to do that in a way that I'm still being true to myself. So I feel like, we did the 3 treasures. I take refuge in Buddha, whether Shakyamuni Buddha, the person who really lived 2,500 years ago and made teachings, or Amida Buddha, who's true reality itself, embracing us, right? We take refuge in Buddha. We take refuge in that guidance. I take refuge in Dharma, right? We can understand Dharma as the teachings, right? And all these various teachings of impermanence, interconnectedness, the 6 paramitas, 4 noble truths, 8-fold path, et cetera, et cetera. But Dharma is also true reality itself. Then I take refuge in Sangha. And Sangha for us is the community, right? It's our members, but also just this kind of community of Buddhists, right? Whether it's our temple or our sect or Buddhists in general, right? I think we can see these different levels of Sangha. Maybe within the Sangha too, you get along with certain people and look forward to seeing them. And maybe there's a tribes within a tribe, right? And I think that's okay too, that we can find these little groups of people that we get along with and that we look forward to being with. And then we can also realize, and there's this bigger group that I don't necessarily interact with, but they're part of the Sangha and I see them, I'm like, hi, good morning. Maybe there's even people that I'm kind of like, yeah, hi, and then, oh, good, they smiled, okay, but how much of that is them and how much of that is me, right? Sangha gives us a place to experiment with that, right? Sangha gives us a place to be able to be with other people and I think ideally be myself, but be myself with other people. Being myself at home is easy. Being myself out in the world, maybe not so easy. Right? And so, and then, what is myself? And is myself always the same? Or is myself different with different people? Right? That's a different Dharma talk, but that is part of the picture too. right? And that's what I like about this idea of finding a tribe. And I want to suggest the Sangha as one possibility if you haven't found it yet. I think many people, have been members of this church for a long time or whatever, but realizing too that, our temple is just one temple amongst many, right? And so it's kind of neat if you get to the point where you start going to other temples, whether it's bazaars get started up again and you go and you see people maybe you've met before or seen before, right? Or we were doing the, what we call it, the East Bay Tri-Temple Dharma. Remember that? And we had Berkeley, Alameda, and Oakland. And we'd people from all three temples would come here, and then we'd go to Alameda the next month and go to Berkeley the next month, right? That was kind of neat to realize, oh, so my tribe here at BCO, but there's like a East Bay Buddhist temple tribe, right? And then maybe we have a Bay district, right? And so you can even feel like, wow, I'm even part of Bay district. And then maybe you can feel like, wow, in BCA, I could go to a conference in Seattle and meet people maybe I've met before or make new friends that I'll meet again, even if they don't necessarily live near me. I think there's also a kind of a minister's tribe, right? The Kaisho-shikai, the ministers association, right? And so, all these different levels of groups within this big umbrella, but then even sometimes people come from Japan, right? If Hoppo Fukuoka, maybe the Fujinkai, the Buddhist Women's Association. And these people come, you've never met them before, but you have this commonality, right, of Jodo Shinshu. So it can be really neat to meet people like that. And they bow, they offer incense just like we do. Neat, right? Like we can kind of fit in together because some of the rituals are already kind of set, right? Bowing as we come into the Hondo, coming up and bowing before we offer incense, right? Putting our hands together in Gassho, reading the sutras together. All those things are big parts of being Jodo Shinshu. Not everyone does them. Sometimes it might seem kind of odd because it's not the kind of stuff we normally do in everyday life. But I think when we do it and get used to doing it and get comfortable with it, and then we meet other people that do it, it's kind of neat. It's like this commonality, huh? And even if I don't know the proper way to behave with every single person that comes up to me, I know the proper way to enter the Hondo, to offer incense, to open the book and chant, so I can feel like, well, at least maybe I'll get points for that, that they'll realize, oh yeah, we're kind of similar here, right? So, we're rebuilding it in all this in a way, huh? Just, realizing how special an opportunity it is to be able to come, right? 2 years ago, we just came when we wanted to, didn't come, no big deal. I'll be able to go next week if I want or not. Then all of a sudden, you can't come here for 2 years, right? And so realizing that, being able to come now, I think is really, really special. And it's really, really wonderful opportunity to be able to be together and recognize, yes, there are negative, of course, there were negative aspects to the pandemic and everything. But if it makes us realize, whoa, what did I take for granted before? Right? That having this tribe, the Sangha, is such a special part of my life, then maybe it changes us, right? Maybe we've been transformed and changed in this process of going through the pandemic, and we can kind of run with it now as we're coming out of it. So thank you very much. Why don't we conclude the Dharma talk with Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. Okay, just a few announcements. Let's see, I gotta get the right page. The bento sale, I think you've probably already ordered, but if you haven't, the due date technically is tomorrow, April 4th. And I think there are some left, and so you do still have time. So if you want to order bentos, please order them tomorrow. And then the pickup is April 9th, right? Go to the website or look at your email for the details. But then we're having Hanamatsuri on April 10th, the next day on Sunday. And so Hanamatsuri service next Sunday will be in person, outdoors. We're expecting a lot of people. At this point, it looks like it might be chilly, so dress warm. we're rotating the seating so that hopefully we'll be in the sun more. And it is something you want to come to because our guest speaker is Reverend Seigen Yamaoka, and could be maybe his last talk here before he moves. And then we also have special musical presentation from Shirley Muramoto, playing the koto and talking about that kind of traditional Japanese music at BCO and here in the United States. Want to also let you know there's a BCA job listing. The BCA has an immediate opening for a full-time administrative assistant to work at the national headquarters office in San Francisco. And so if you want information, please contact Gail Noguchi, the Director of Operations, at gnoguchi@bcahq.org. And I think we'll probably have that listed on the website, or you can contact us here at the church if you're interested in that. Okay, so that will conclude our service. Why don't we conclude with Kansho once again. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu. Namanda. Okay, thank you very much. We can head back downstairs again and hang out more in the hall if you want. Oh yeah, the Shotsuki service will be at 11:30. So it's a separate time, separate service. So yeah. We might spray you then though. Bye everyone on YouTube. Thank you.